wonderful. Yes, Michael. Yes, dear one.
So I just want to program with, to how to kind of move the energies forward toward things getting back to business and getting the green light and just kind of getting past this thing. And I'm very thankful for the smooth ride throughout it. But it would be wonderful to just know what would be some good thoughts to hold in terms of timings and imagining it, just things, healing the whole thing and getting past it in a sense and being in a better place.
Certainly so. And each of you have been very conscious of your own area, your own town, your own street, your own neighborhood, of our people taking it seriously. And indeed, people have been taking it seriously, haven't they? And they are following the instruction, the expectation that, well, if everyone follows the rules for at least 2 weeks, that there is a significant reduction in impact at this time. So even though you may still have others in the future who create that situation, who allow that situation of having a depressed immune system. Some people, as we have said, they are enjoying this time to relax and to remember what is important going forward. But as you say, many are now ready. Okay, that was enough. That was enough quiet time. Let's get back out in the world. There are many extroverts and there are many business people who really thrive on activity, don't they? And that is wonderful. And there are those who are the dreamers and the introverts who prefer to do it more quietly, but still there is that balance that is needed. For the infinity symbol shows you as you go within, it is important to take that which you recognize and learn and integrate back out into the world, and then to come back in and do another round of deeper understanding, to turn knowledge into wisdom through introspection. And so that figure 8 is a natural way to be, isn't it? And so you can, even though there is that sense, well, when is this going to end? When are they going to give us permission? Well, give yourselves permission that with harm to none, with elegance and ease, that business will return to normal, but improved. For there are many wonderful things that have emerged out of this time. There's a willingness for people to collaborate. And all of you will benefit from that, no matter what your business is. You're going to find that people are going to be much more willing to share information, they're going to be more receptive to what you have to offer. They're going to be tuned into who are you being? What can I learn from you? How can I benefit from what you offer? And that used to be really more just for in the entertainment world and some product-based businesses, of course. But now it's become more ubiquitous. It's become more about humanity as a whole. That opportunity to be more of who you are, to share more of who you are. So in your case, with your music, you are looking to create magnificent things through expressing yourself through your music, are you not?
Yeah.
Yes. And so part of the joy of making music, absolutely so, is to play live music, to participate with an audience. Now, of course, you could do that virtually. You can do that through a webinar or whatever, but it's really not exactly the same, is it? For there is a joy of existing in the physical plane and feeling the physical vibrations that are exchanged. For those of you who are musically minded, you know what we speak of. And so for you, Michael, we suggest you simply take some time to see yourself playing live music and to have that be a part of your icon, your touchstone.
Okay.
Because in that future self, doing what you love, bringing more of who you truly are into your world through your music, that is motivating for you, isn't it?
Yep.
Even though you have many more things going on, and of course there's the business and the success of the business and all that, but that's a given because you know that if I'm out there playing music, it's because everything is right in my world.
Yeah, that's a good thought. And also, you know, I'm eager to help other people feel better too.
Absolutely, you are. Wonderful.
Thank you, Tara.
Certainly so. We love you so. And who is next?
How about Francis? What do you think, Kara?
Yes, dear one. And what is your question? We have many thoughts, but along which lines would you like to speak?
Well, I just like to talk to you because I love you so much. But I wanted to also acknowledge Michael. Michael, I don't know if you know that I had a pretty good musical career in the 70s and 80s, and I've kind of lost my joy of how disrespectful, you know, it's been with how they pay people, especially down here in Florida. So I don't feel the great need to play anymore. But in any case, Tara.
Well, Francis, we would like to speak to that for yourself.
Sure.
Because you do know that you create your own reality. And as you look to see, well, why would I create that when it's something that brings me joy?
Yeah.
And we would suggest that there was still some residue of your youth that required some healing. And you have done so much work this year, so much wonderful transforming work within yourself. And as you simply allow your adolescent to have that wonderful career, to allow him to have that rock star dream, then you truly shift, and you already have done most of that work. You shift into music being a preference, entirely so. It doesn't have to be in any way, shape, or form about money, and yet it can be then. It can be, or it might not. You may be invited to participate in some, we'll just use Live Aid as an example, some very high profile benefit. And out of that, you may get the recognition that which is really what it's about for you, isn't it? It's not so much about the money because you have the means through other vehicles. Your business is thriving. You really don't need to make money if you play music, but you also don't want to be disregarded or disrespected.
Yeah, certainly acknowledgement is a big part. You know, that's why many of us started in the music business as young people, teenagers, because, you know, one of the reasons was we wanted to meet girls, and it gave us confidence to have them come up to us versus us go over to them. And so, you know, playing shows was always a fun thing. But, you know, the next level of that, Tara, was that we wanted to be respected by our peers. And I just had this discussion with my nephew today, and I did have that. I did have people, you know, recognize me and understand, you know, to whatever level I was at as far as it being a player. And so I had that. The only thing that was not created was a lot of abundance financially. And I was able to do that in another field. But, I guess I'm just a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe not as motivated to go back into playing again for $100 a night, because that's what I made when I was 17 and 18. And so,
Yes,
yeah, I
yes.
create.
Well, and isn't that interesting, the amount that you made when you were 17 and 18? And that is the clue that it's your adolescent who wants that reality. And as you allow him to have it exactly as he wants it, obviously in meditation, in his reality, then that frees you up to create it differently, to create it more along the lines of the way you would want it to be now, where you would get paid thousands of dollars if you played.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you for that reminder, Tara. Thank you very
And you
much
might
for
have to
that.
be willing to travel to do that. You might have to go to Las Vegas or to LA or to Europe.
Well, I'm okay with traveling. I mean, I think
Yes.
that's fine.
Yes.
No problem.
Perhaps not
It would
this week, but when the world opens back up.
Yes, yes. That would be one more question I'd have to ask you, if I may.
Certainly so.
I don't know if it's you and the other goddess energy, or if it's actually a physical person, but I've been feeling some feminine energy in my auric field, and I'm wondering if there's a new lady friend in my future, or if it's something else I'm feeling and imagining.
Well, you have been focused on that exactly. That you're desiring that relationship, a key relationship in your life, and certainly so. It is as though you are trying it on, meaning what would be a wonderful energy to be around? What energy would complete you, so to speak? Not that you
Yeah.
need to be completed at all, but there is that sense of synergy where each of you are individual and yet there's a synergy between the two of you. And so as you continue along those lines in your meditations of saying, well, what would that be like? And you are already defining it, and that is what that energy is. It is you choosing, it is you welcoming and inviting someone new.
I see. Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's pretty good news, isn't it?
Yes, it is. For you, it is. Absolutely. And you will recognize her by that feeling tone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Tara.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Francis. And we love you so. All right,
love
then.
You too.
And how much time do we have left?
Probably 7 minutes is my guess, Tara, because it's 9:53 and we started around 9. This is East Coast time.
Yes.
So about 7 more minutes would be my guess if it's an hour session.
All right. And are there any questions that remain? Anybody who would like to ask one last question?
Well, Tara, if nobody else is wanting to ask a question, just a quick
Yes,
question.
John.
For those of us like myself that have trouble even kind of knowing what they want in their future, you mentioned something like those of us that have trouble visualizing what we want.
Yes.
How do you suggest we approach this kind of, future think, if I can call it that?
Well, certainly so. For you, John, and we were very fluid and flexible around that definition, knowing that visualizing is not your strong suit. And the reason that it's not for you is absolutely there is that sense of, well, there are so many possibilities. There are so many ways I could go with this question. And then you get confused. Because, well, how do I decide which one's the best? I don't have enough time. I don't have enough information. And so, but there is a theme And you can allow it to be expansive. You can allow it to be, well, as a peacemaker, I really just want everyone to be at ease, to feel the joy of success, for instance. Knowing that your core emotion is that sorrow of failure that leads to a loneliness. Well, what is the antidote? What is it that you might want to be different in your world, knowing that those are the shouldn't be's?
Are you asking me now?
Well, you can answer it now, or you can play with it as you meditate on it. But that is the key. The key for each of you. You have a core. We won't call it an issue, because it's just something that repeats itself. And it's not that it's an issue, but rather that it's a core emotion that you go to when you are triggered into something that shouldn't be. We'll put it that way. So for instance, you might get triggered into hurt, or you might be triggered into betrayal, or into loneliness, or feeling unlovable, feeling a level of shame that is unresolvable. Those sorts of core emotions. And so there's a part of you that says, well, I'm never going to change. I'm always going to have this. It's who I am. Well, we would disagree. It was something that a mechanism that you devised to survive. Absolutely so. You came into this lifetime to resolve it. You came in with that energy in spades so that you would pay attention to it, that you wouldn't forget to work on it. And every so often, as you're going along and things seem to have improved, it shows up again and you go, wow, I thought I worked on that already. Why is that coming back? Well, because you're ready to do a new level of healing, a new level of forgiving yourself. Because you see, as a child in the experience, there was sorrow, there was failure, there was that hopelessness, helplessness, and despair. But there was a benefit to it. It got you a certain type of attention, or it got you a certain level of isolation. It helped you survive and make sense of disappointments and failures.
Okay.
And so then it became like a cloak, a buffer. Well, if I expect things to go badly, well, then I can't be disappointed, can I? But the problem with that is, at a certain point, you need that expectation, the positive expectation, to manifest, don't you? So you're growing older and you're now responsible for more and more of what you create. You're responsible for the choices you make and the decisions and what you're manifesting. And lo and behold, where did my expectation go? Why do I have faulty expectation? Or why don't I even want to desire something? And why can't I imagine it? And so those components had been used in a different way for so long. They had been used to generate negativity, negative outcomes, to protect you, of course. So how to detach, how to pull that energy back in and say, okay, let's shift the focus from what I don't want to something I do want. And it might be easiest first to do opposites.
Okay. Hmm.
And they can be simple things. They don't have to be magnificent. They can be, you do really well with manifesting food, for instance. And so let that be sort of a vehicle for measuring, well, how am I doing? Oh, well, I manifested a new Indian restaurant today, or a new way of making coffee, or a new recipe that you hadn't seen before that sounded really fascinating and you wanted to try it. So for you, that vehicle brings joy, brings love, brings happiness.
Hmm.
It opens you to your creativity. So allow that to smooth the way, to be an example of how easy it can be.
Okay, thanks, Tara.
And know that you have healed so much that it really isn't any longer about your past. And you have changed the beliefs, and you have opened yourself up to much more than you ever thought was possible. And when you're striving for perfection, then go sit with your adolescent and let him have it. Let him be back in his time of eternal youth when he knew everything, when he had access to every piece of information available. You see, ironically, he did have that access, absolutely so, briefly, until he turned it off.
Right.
But there's so much more information available now, and you have attuned yourself to it. You do have the ability to access, process, utilize, and manifest at a much higher level than what your adolescent was capable of. Not to diminish him in any way, but when you get that sense that you have to do it perfectly, go and spend time with him. He needs to know that he's okay, and that in his reality, he can be as perfect as he wants to be.
Okay. Hmm.
And that will release you from the need. All right then, and what a pleasure it has been speaking with each and every one of you, and know that we've been working between the words in each of the conversations we have had this evening. So much wonderful magic, so much joy and love and peace. And so we go for now, as we bring Katrina back, we go with love and peace. Until next time.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, Tara.
Hey, Francis and John, I appreciated your questions very much.
And same with you, Michael. I didn't know you're a musician. And what form of music do you play?
I'm a student